I'll start with a story. Once in Morocco, I was asked, "What is your favourite animal?" Or rather, "ما الحيوان المفضل لك?" Where "ما" means what, حيوان means animal, مفضل means favourite, and لك means for you. In truth, I don't really have favourites, but I humoured them and said, "The crow, al-ghurab." Everyone laughed, not because it was a silly choice, but they said, "al-ghurab ماشي حيوان." The crow isn't an animal. This confused me at first, but then I realised that the word hayawan, at least for these Moroccans, meant animal, but did not include birds, nor indeed fish as I later discovered, while the English animal includes all three groups. This got me thinking about taxonomy, and how this might apply to conlanging. Taxonomy refers to the way we classify things in the universe, and it's easy to see why we group entities together into categories, because it chunks up the universe into neat, mentally digestible pieces. If we didn't do this, we would either be faced constantly with the totality of all that exists, or have to coin a word for every individual entity in the universe, which itself requires defining boundaries between entities and probably thus entails having categories. Philosophy aside, the interesting thing is recognizing that the universe can be grouped into categories in a lot of different ways. Let's look at animals again, particularly beaver, bear, robin, fish, deer, eagle, whale, mouse, penguin, orca, and dog. English speakers would be very happy to divide these animals into mammals, birds, and fish. But we could just as easily divide them based on their primary environment, say with tsumsa, meaning aquatic animals, hakouvri for terrestrial animals, and maybe even ratuti for aerial animals. Or perhaps according to threat and usefulness to humans, where ghur is a dangerous animal, umtiru is a useful animal for food or a resource, and anu are neutral animals. Though if this culture and mind hunts whales for blubber, they might fall into the taxonomic category of umtiru. We could even divide them by colour, size, diet, number of legs, and so on. The point is, different languages group things in different ways according to different qualities, or a combination of qualities. If this interests you, I'd recommend reading up on prototype theory. And you can play around with this. You get to choose what are the more fundamental qualities of everything in the universe as used to separate them from or group them with other entities. Colour is one area that has had a lot of linguistic research done in it, and how languages group colours, hues, and shades into different basic colour terms. I shan't rehash all the research here, but look at the following diagrams of colour terms in different languages. Colours and animals are highly distinct things with readily perceptible qualities, so dividing them into categories can be straightforward. Other things are hard, like emotions. There are many theories about emotions and how they interlink and are categorized, but I thought it would be interesting to illustrate the 6 basic emotion terms in Bjark'ümii: hak, gyaksu, yotnu, ngaklari, sul, and tazi. Arranging them into 2 halves, the upper arc are emotions where the stimulus is pain, and the bottom row is emotions where the stimulus is pleasure. The 2 on the left is where the stimulus is in the past, the 2 in the middle where the stimulus is in the present, and the right-hand 2 is where the stimulus is in the future. We could apply near-English equivalents, bearing in mind these terms are perceived through the Bjark'ümii cultural lens, going clockwise like so. Hak is anger, because it stems from having experienced pain, physical or emotional, in the past. As this is a basic term, it would also cover things like betrayal, guilt, and regret, where the painful stimulus stems from some action or event in the past. Gyaksu is sadness, because it comes from an experience of pain in the present or which is ongoing. And bear in mind that a stimulus can be the absence of something or some action just as much as an overt action. There's been some research into how emotional and physical pain produce similar reactions in the body biologically, and the Bjark'ümii don't disambiguate emotional and physical pain with both, if immediate, being subtypes of gyaksu. Hurt your leg? Gyaksu. Lost your favourite spoon? Gyaksu. Frustration also falls under gyaksu, because it is born of a constant feeling. Yotnu is fear, because it stems from an expectation of pain in the future, and covers doubt, worry, and anxiety. Next is ngaklari, which is the expectation of pleasure in the future, so it covers the English concepts of excitement and anticipation. Seul is pleasure in the present, so covers happiness, being in love, relaxation, and physical pleasures like eating something sweet or listening to music you enjoy. Remember the Bjark'ümii non-distinction between physical and emotional. Dazi is pleasure in the past, which in English would cover satisfaction. It might also veer into nostalgia, but nostalgia is dazi with a dash of gyaksu, because we're a little sad not to have that past pleasure anymore. So, like with translating nostalgia, these terms can mix and interact, though I don't think they'd clump together oligosynthetically morpheme with morpheme, but rather as a means to conceptualize emotions. Take grief. In the immediate aftermath of losing someone, you'll feel hak, because that sudden loss is shocking and painful. But following this, your hak eases into gyaksu, where your pain stems not from their loss anymore, but their continuing absence. Well, that's how the Bjark'ümii see it. What we call disappointment would be mostly gyaksu with a dash of ngaklari, as the now snuffed expectation of future pleasure is the source of our present pain. What we call contentment might be seul plus ngaklari, or even with dazi added too. Now, this diagram and my explanations give the impression that this system is neat and perfect, but it's not. Where do disgust, surprise, and relief come into this paradigm? And I haven't even mentioned the terms for the absence of certain emotions, though I'll tell you now that the word which covers our idea of relief is the absence of gyaksu. The point is that the universe can be divided many ways, even its intangible parts and qualities, even what is in our minds. And each language can, if you want it to, put things in a different light. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, don't like and don't subscribe.